This is Joffy Noodle Legs' fantastic channel. It is. It really is. Thank you.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another film review. Tonight we're looking at a 2024 horror film. In fact, I'm going to spend probably this week reviewing a few films from this year, and we're kicking off with Abigail. Although it says filmed in 2023, it was released in 2024. I've got my special glasses with me. Yes, of course I have. Let's have a look, see if I can tell you a little bit about the film. It's an American horror film. It stars Melissa Barbarella. It stars Dan Stevens, Catherine Keenan, Will Catrett, Kevin Durand, Angus Code, I think his name is, but sad news about Angus. He's passed away not long after making this film. He's a young lad, but he passed away of a drug overdose, sadly. But enough of that. The film is based on this group of hired criminals, if I say that, and they're hired to kidnap a young girl called Abigail. And the film starts off when we see Abigail doing ballet at a sort of empty theatre, and it's a really classy sort of beginning to a film. And I love the music. There's a lot of sort of Swan Lake and Tchaikovsky and all that sort of music going on within the film. Absolutely amazing. And she's while we see her ballet dancing outside, there's our criminals. You sort of like see them getting together. We've got one girl who's like a into computers. We've got the big sort of tough man. We've got the sort of clever person, and we've got our Angus, who plays the sort of like yeah, he plays like a sort of I don't know, the comical relief to the film, if you like. And they finally, it sort of comes together, and they kidnap this girl at her house. They sort of sneak into the grounds of their house, and they've got one sort of guy who's like a marksman with a gun. He's staying up high just in case he's required. And they go in and they kidnap this girl because she is a daughter of a multi-billionaire, and they are going to try and hold her for ransom for $50 million. So they kidnap this girl and they take her to this other place where this the boss is sort of arranged for them to take her to and hold her there for 24 hours while he sorts out the ransom. And they get there, and the main sort of female character of the film, she sort of like befriends Abigail and starts talking to her and stuff like that. And Abigail says what they do, and she sort of pretty much tells them the truth, you know, that you're going to be with us for a few days. We're not going to hurt you, but it's just to get this money from your dad. And it turns out their dad's a big sort of like criminal sort of baron, and so now they all start to fear for themselves and stuff like this. And Abigail beholds a secret, and when they discover what the father is, like this sort of big sort of criminal baron, some of them want out, but they find out that they're actually locked in this house and they can't get out. And then they start getting sort of killed off one by one in sort of gruesome, grisly ways. So is there someone in the house with them, and with Abigail, who's sort of tied up and handcuffed to the bed? Or is it someone from the outside sort of killing them off one by one? You need to watch it and find out, because that's all the sort of synopsis I'm going to tell you. All I'm really going to tell you is that it's a clever plotted film, really, really cool, with some great sort of effects in there, some great gore, and the story predictably unfolds, but I quite like that. It really reminiscence a lot of that that film Don't Breathe, which was obviously about these burglars going in to rob this blind man, and they've bitten off more they can chew. And this is the same sort of premise here with this kidnapping. And as the story unfolds, it twists, and it's not what it seems to be. It's not this kidnapping. These kidnappers think that they're doing this kidnapping. Turns out that this was all sort of planned, and the sort of story unfolds through that, and it's a fight for survival for these kidnappers, and sort of like and you sort of start rooting for them in a way. Although first of all you're thinking, well, you're criminals, although they weren't going to hurt the girl. It was just sort of like, how can you sort of take this poor young girl, and they sort of drug her with like an injection, but it doesn't turn out what you think it is. And Abigail is, well, you'll find out about Abigail if you watch the film. Now, the pluses of this edition, it looks amazing. It's a really cool looking film. It's made by the company that made Ready or Not, which I haven't seen yet. It is on my to watch list. I do want to see it even more now after seeing this film. The characters are really cool. I liked all the characters, especially the sort of like the big sort of hard dude. He was really, really funny. And the main characters are not annoying, and Abigail's not annoying. And it was really, really cool. And it sort of unfolds throughout the film, and all these different characters, these sort of kidnappers, have all got different backgrounds. One's like an ex-policeman, one is like a drug addict, the other one is just like a higher hand, the other one's like a computer expert. They've all got these sort of backgrounds, and they all sort of come together with different background stories which unfold, and it sort of unfolds. They've all told each other little bits, but one person knows the truth about all of them. And so and you'll get to find out who that is in the film. It's got some good effects in it, some quite good gore. It doesn't waste a lot of time getting going, which is cool. It runs for an hour and 50 minutes, so it's a good length film. And I didn't feel that it was that long. It went really quick. So that's how good it was. It was like, oh, okay, that didn't seem like an hour and 50 minutes, but it was. And it's a great sort of popcorn horror film. It's almost going back to the days when horror films were popcorn films to sit down and chill out and enjoy. And this is exactly what I did from it. And I really, really enjoyed it. I'm going to score this an awesome watch and give it a 9 out of 10. So for a modern horror film, a 9 out of 10. A really good film. Predictable. Not a genre I love very much, because when it unfolds and it's the big reveal's done, it turns out you know what the genre of this horror film is. And it's not my favourite to go to sort of genre, which might give it away a little bit. But it's really, really cool, and it's good fun. It's got a black sort of comedy humour going on in the background, and it's very sort of it's quite a unique sort of horror film, and I loved that. It did, like I said, it does remind me of films like Don't Breathe. It had elements of that in it, which I thought was really, really cool, and I loved it. So Abigail, 9 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. This just demonstrates that modern horror is just as good as any other sort of decade of horror film. It's a popcorn horror film, and I took an absolute joy out of watching it. If you go back to your 80s with your Friday the 13th, your Nightmare on Elm Streets and all that popcorn movies, in your 90s you had your Screams, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and then we've had loads of other sort of popcorn films, and this is like up there with those. It's that kind of quality of film, and it's really well made, really, really cool, really enjoyed. Now the special features on the Blu-ray, they're not the greatest. You have a bloodbath featurette, which is not very long, bringing the gore to Abigail, which is with the directors. It's got deleted scenes and a gag reel. So it's got some extra features on there. Not particularly brilliant, but this is a mass produced. This is made by Universal. It's not like an Arrow or Second Sight production. It is sort of like a big company. And when you get big companies dealing with our horror films, they always, have a bigger budget, and so that puts off a lot of horror fans because they like the low budget horror, which I love. Low budget horror, I do, but I also appreciate the high end of the horror genre, and this is up there with the sort of, you know, everything's sort of perfect. The environments are great, the lighting's fantastic, the photography is good, the acting is good actors. It's an established sort of like cast, an array of people. So that's what makes it a really cool sort of like film. But it does have that real sort of popcorn 80s horror film sort of feel to it. So if you think along the lines of Don't Breathe, if you think along the lines of You're Next, all that sort of thing, it's got that sort of feel to it, and it's great. And it was made this year. So there we go. So that's the first film of this week. We're going to be doing horror films of 2024. And this is the first one. So the next one will be, I'm not sure, you'll just see it pop up. But until then, check out some horror channels. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man View Film, RS Design, Pizzawell, I Am Ice Lord, Cat Watches Horror Movies, Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House. And a massive shout out to the lad. Till next time, look after yourselves. Look after one another, and I really hope I'll see you all soon.